Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thanks so much for that countdown. My producer and director tonight, Suleiman Nachasa of Tumbo. Now, tonight we'll be talking about the reoccurrence of enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings. It was a story of the past until recently it started to reoccur once again, especially in areas of the coastal region and the northeastern region. HorizonTV's Suleiman Nachasa compiled the following story for us.
Cases of enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings in the country have been spiking in the recent past. This is according to Missing Voices Organization, a group of organizations including Muslim for Human Rights, Muhuri, whose mission is to shine light upon extrajudicial executions. According to Muhuri, Kenya has reported 153 enforced disappearances and 285 extrajudicial executions. 727 people have been killed by the police or reported missing since 2007. 59% of them were shot dead. Battering and tear gas accounted for most other deaths. Men are most likely to be killed by the police in most cases, accounting for 62% of the murders or enforced disappearances. According to report, Nairobi County accounts for the most deaths by police and enforced disappearances, followed by Mombasa 98, Kwale 28, Garissa 26, Mandera 16, and Nakuru 12. According to Muhuri, abductions are often forceful and conducted by at least 3 plainclothes officers who hardly brandish their firearms. There is always a waiting car where a victim gets bundled at the rear seat or a trunk. The car's number plates are usually fake. The abductors are often not security agents from the operational area. The authorities will deny any connections. However, emerging evidence would later incriminate them. Speaking on Sunday at Ukunda, where they marked the International Day of the Victims of Enforced Disappearances, Human Development Agenda Project Manager Kashi Darmani said the coastal region has more than 100 cases of abductions and killings of innocent people, 62 of which are from Kwale County. According to Germany, unknown men have been targeting people in mosques, churches, and some taken from homes in the middle of the night. This year alone, more than 10 people disappeared in Kwale County. Most of them were found dead and dumped in Tsavo West National Park and Makindu Mortuary. In January 2020, a victim, Markaz Uthman Sheikh Mahmoud Muhammad, 27, was beaten and bundled into a double-cabin Toyota car in Kombani. He has not been traced to date, and according to Germany, the killings have left more than 300 orphans and 70 widows in the county. The activists gave the national government 14 days to respond to grievances. Police in Kwale said they have opened files for the missing people and promised that justice will be served.
I have prepared a memorandum today as we celebrate or commemorate the International Day for Enforced Disappearance. The memorandum seeks to draw the attention of Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights in the National Assembly to the several incidents of unexplained and unresolved incidents of mysterious enforced disappearance and extrajudicial executions targeting terror suspects in Kwale County.
Elsewhere, a milk vendor is missing after 3 men in a probox kidnapped him. A milk vendor, Irshad Hajir, was abducted in Garissa by men purported to be Kenyan security agents. His abduction occurred in the hands of 3 men on eve of the International Day of Victims of Enforced Disappearance on August 30th. His brother Sayat Hajir, who was with him during the abduction, said 3 men in a Toyota Probox abruptly stopped them and immediately tied his brother and bundled him into the car.
Pale tunatoka sisi tunatafuta kibarua gari ya maziwa. Tumefahamiwa. Sisi tuko ndani ya serikali ya Kenya. Tunachukua maziwa, tunaleta hapa tunauza. Ilikuwa tunachukua maji, tunaenda badia. Wametufahamia watu 3. Wako ndani ya gari. Wamesema wao ni serikali. Mimi wamenipika kofi, ndugu yangu mwingine wamepika. Wakachukua na hatujui mpaka sasa tu. Mahali yupo. Tunaomba usaidizi vijana warejeshe Kenya. alikuwa gari akikuja hapo, wakaanza kumshika yeye kwa nguvu, mimi wakaanza kunipiga kofi, yeye akaweka gari wakaondoka chap chap. Sasa hatujui mahali upo mpaka sasa hivi. Tumeenda kila mahali, tumegonga mlango, hakuna usaidizi wote tumepata mpaka sasa hivi. Yeye alikuwa amesimama hapo, wakamweka ndani ya gari. Sasa wakachukua license yake, ndio wakachukua. Nikauliza, nyinyi sisi ni raia, tunaenda kutafuta nini nyumba ya mtu? Au nyinyi just tuonyesheni ya kwamba nyinyi ni serikali hasa, identify yenu yote ambayo inaonyesha kwamba nyinyi ni askari, mtuonyeshe. Au kuna chochote wametuonyesha, ndio wakaanza vita. Wameniambia mko na maneno mengi, ndio wakaanza vita.
Muslim for Human Rights Rapid Response Officer Francis Auma termed it ironical that the disappearance happened on the eve of the International Day of Victims of Enforced Disappearances.
Force ambayo ni Rapid Response Team kutoka kwa GSU kutekeleza mambo kama haya, watu kupotezwa. Tuko na facts na report iko publicly now. Kwa hivyo serikali ya Kenya inajua, wanajificha wakisema hawa hawajui ni kitu gani kinaendelea, lakini Americans, British wanajua kunaendelea nini, na sisi kama Wakenya tutakubali kuangaishwa kila kukicha. Hivi leo tunaadhimisha International Forceful Disappearance Day, na bado hapa Garissa tumeshuhudia wenyewe jana mtu kuchukuliwa pakavu, na inasemekana ni watu 3 walichukuliwa. Hivi sasa tuko na familia inagadhabika, na visa hivi vimezidi hapa Garissa, na lazima tusimame kidete na serikali iajibike. Haiwezekani kuwa kila kukicha watu wanapotea.
He also stated that when they presented the registration number to the police, it only turned to be fake.
Mambo zaidi si vijana warejeshe Kenya kwa nyumbani. Hiyo kitu ndio tunaomba. Tumeenda ubi tukaandikisha, hatujapata habari yoyote. So hatujui mahali tupo. Sisi ni Wakenya, tunataka kijana irudishwe.
Nechesa Suleiman, HorizonTV.
Thank you so much, Suleiman Nachas of Tumbo, for that story right there, Santi Sana. Now, we are joined by Muslim Human Rights, the chairman of the Muslim Human Rights, Mr. Khalif Khalifa, all the way from Mombasa. Mr. Khalif, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Mr. Khalif, thank you so much for making time for us this evening. And that was such a sad story that we saw right there, especially the story of the milk vendor, Mr. Irshad Hajar.
Well, as Field Officer Francis Auma put it very clearly, we sent a team to Garissa to enforce disappearance. And it just happened in front of their eyes. It's very unfortunate. The government seems really doesn't care, even when the world is commemorating that particular day. So this has been going on for quite some times. And officers are no longer afraid. They can do it, sometimes they do it at night. It depends which forces under whose command. Some forces are commanded by foreigners and MI6 and CIA. It's very unfortunate. This country, which has attained its independence since 1963, we are still not independent as such, and especially when...
Mr. Khalif, there are some serious allegations that you've put out there, especially from your side and even Francis Ouma, who is your field agent. You have said that these disappearances are being done by the police and you have all the evidences. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely yes. Because even if officers are coming without uniform, in civilian clothes, most of them are armed.
Then how do you tell that these are police officers? Because you can clearly hear it from the victim who was there, who experienced it firsthand. I'm talking about Mr. Sayyad Hajar, who's the brother to the victim who's been abducted. And he said that when they were confronted, he asked them if they were policemen, and if yes, they should identify themselves, and they did not identify themselves. So where do you get it? How do you recollect that these are police officers in civilian?
But who else can do such a thing? People come with pistols, handcuffs, bundle you in a car. This is not a kidnapping that they're asking for ransom. In forced disappearance, sometimes these people are not seen at all, killed, or they will be found somewhere. Some they'll not be seen at all. Which gangs or which people, civilian, can do such a thing like that? You know, if there are people asking for ransom, then you can say, okay, there is something behind it. But however, the government is fully responsible on whatever is going on. Now, issues of number plates, we have done that so many. And the police versions always says, we don't know. Because here in Kikambala, we went all over to police stations, ATPU, and they said, we don't know. And I think we believe them. No, because there are forces which are doing these things far away from their command. So they don't know. To tell you the truth, I have really talking to many of them, said, we don't know.
Mr. Khalif, you say that you have evidence evidence enough to implicate the police that they are the ones behind these abductions, correct?
Yes.
Correct,
Yes,
Mr. Khalif?
we do.
Mr. Khalif?
We do. Yes.
You say that you have evidence to show that the police are the ones behind these abductions, correct?
Yes, it is
What
correct.
actions have you taken with the evidences at your disposal so far?
You know, many people might think it's easier as you think it is. Because when these things happen, you need a lot of collaboration. First of all, from the victims themselves. Okay? And there are certain steps you must take. You know, when that thing happens, first of all, you have to go to the police. You have to record an OB from the police station. Okay? And then you have to inform the media, which the media has always been informed. Okay. Get evidence that you have, a number plate or the car or something like that. Okay. And mind you, this country has a lot of CCTV cameras that are mounted in the streets. And there are many of them. And government has spent hundreds of millions on TV cameras. But these CCTV cameras, they never work when it happens to them. Okay? Because when the government is after somebody, I'm telling you, they'll get him. And there's a lot of evidence. But when it comes on their own, you know, they play blind.
Mr. Khalif, but there are agencies that are supposed to be independent and they are oversighting the police. I'm talking about the IPOA, which is an oversight body to oversight the police. So, I mean, it beats, how do you start reporting the police to the police? How does it work? But IPOA has been seen to be a little bit effective, although expectations are still high from the Kenyans, but at least some police officers have been convicted. Have you tried that route?
When you go to IPOA statistics, the very few cases they have succeeded, some of them it is our cases that we send it to them. And sometimes we have cases with all evidence from the eyewitnesses, from the postmortem, from the police themselves, in the police station. For example, there is a case of Espino, who was killed over 2 years ago. Okay, and there's you are mentioning about power. We have instructed our lawyer to take IPOA to court for failing to do what they're supposed to do. IPOA, the government is paid close to R1 billion per year. Okay? But the cases that have succeeded taken to court are extremely very, very few, to our disappointment.
Yeah. So if you're taking even IPOA to court and you cannot report these police officers that you believe are behind the abductions and the disappearances, then what are you planning to do with the evidences? Where are you planning to go next to report these people who are culpable, who are behind these disappearances?
Okay, now we have one case after the other. In case of this Espino, we have written to IPOA, okay? We have given them all the evidence they have. Postmortem, they have conducted the interviews, people were in the cells, they had everything. Now, we wrote to them to give us this evidence that we don't have. They refused, okay? We also wrote to DPP. We didn't get any answer. Now, we have given to our lawyers. Now, about a month ago, our lawyers wrote to IPOA, and we wrote the second time to IPOA. Now, next week, we are taking IPOA to court, okay? Institution. Both the police and the IPOA. We might call IPOA to come in as hostile witness, but we have no choice except to do that.
Mr. Khalif Khalifa, we are looking at 98 people in Mombasa, 28 in Kwale, Garissa 26, Mandera 16, and Nakuru 12. These are cases of disappearances just 2020 alone. Mr. Khalif Khalifa, IPOA is one independent body that you were to work with, but again, you are also taking them to court. And my question is still the same. I'm still going back to the question. Now that you're taking IPOA to court, basically there are chances that you might burn bridges for as far as your relationship with IPOA is concerned. Then what are you planning to take, what action are you planning to take against those officers who are found guilty or that you have evidence against them for having conducting this extrajudicial killings or enforced disappearances?
We'll still go to IPOA. IPOA is a public body. It's not a private body. Okay. It's paid by taxpayers' money. And we are entitled to service from IPOA. It's not a private thing that they said that we can take, we don't get, because we criticize. We criticize police every single day, but we still go to the police. Okay? Even if you remember some few years back when we had a case of 14-year-old Kwekwe Mandaza. Okay, 14-year-old, she was shot, and the chief and the police, she was immediately buried. We went to court, and the court gave orders to exhume the body. The body was exhumed. And then we went to court to take the police on parallel prosecution. But
Mr. Khalif, Mr. Khalif, can you hear me? Mr. Khalif? Our beloved viewers, and we are having some few internet interruptions right there with Mr. Khalif Khalifa, who is the Muslim Human Rights chairperson all the way from Mombasa. But again, we are going on a very short break. But when we come back, we are going to talk about the involvement of some international bodies like the CIA, just as he said, involved in some of these operations. Of course, we want to look at why the police or whoever who is behind this extrajudicial killing interested in some particular individuals. Of course, we are having millions and millions and millions of Kenyans. According to the 2019 census, it's reported that we are having at least 47 million Kenyans in this country. Then what is the interest with these few Kenyans who are being abducted? Why are they being abducted? Why are they being killed? What is the reason for that? We are going to discuss this and much more after the break. Please do not.
HorizonTV, the beacon for the nation.
Tegea mtandao wa Mambo Leo ili upate kwanza uhondo wa mambo yanayotrend kote ulimwenguni. Ujue kina cha tamaduni zetu, kisha twende shopping mtandaoni na baadaye uwajue kwa undani waimbaji wa nasheed. Kitovu cha uhondo ni hapa mtandao wa Mambo Leo. Weka tarehe, tuonane.
Jumamosi hii saa 9 kamili alasiri.
قال تعالى في محكم تنزيله بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Ninasaha kutoka pwani.
هذا الدين قال الله قال الرسول قال الصحابة هم أولو العرفان. انتهى.
Ili kuongoza kwenye njia iliyonyoka.
Sikizeni hadithi hii ya Mtume alayhi salatu wasalam.
Hakuna atakayeweza kumfungia mtu mlango ambaye Mwenyezi Mungu alimfungulia.
Kuimarisha imani yako.
Thabbit qulubana ala dinik wa ala ta'atik.
Ungana na mashekh wetu kutoka pwani kwenye mimbar.
Mimbar zinamwakilisha Mtume sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
Ni Jumamosi na wakati saa 3 usiku katika Horizon TV, runinga uipendayo.
Isha Adhan, Nairobi City Time.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته إنك لا تخلف الميعاد.
O Allah, Lord of this perfect call and established prayer, grant Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, the intercession and favor, and raise him to the honored station you have promised him. Verily, you do not fail in your promises.
Thanks so much for keeping it live, Real Talk, right here on Horizon TV, Asante Sana, where we are still discussing about matters, extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances. We are having Muslim Human Rights Chairman Khalif Khalifa all the way from Mombasa. Mr. Khalif Khalifa, thanks so much for holding on there as we were discussing about the enforced disappearances. Mr. Khalif, as we were starting to have this discussion, you mentioned the involvement of other international bodies, including the CIA, in some of these enforced disappearances, correct?
Yes.
Again, do you have evidence implicating the CIA or any other international body in these activities?
Well, we have worked with Mr. Shabib from London,
okay.
Investigative journalism, and we have did a lot of his work here in Kenya when he was here. And in matter of fact, we are collaborating with him because in his report, he did not mention names, but he promised us that if you're going to take these cases to court, he is going to give us evidence.
Okay.
Evidence from people inside Kenya, from GSUs.
Okay.
The officers, sometimes they said, we killed a wrong person.
Okay.
You know, after it happened.
When was it when you had this conversation with him?
Pardon?
When was it when you had this conversation with Mr. Omar from London?
No, that was 2018 when he started investigating.
2018. So my follow-up question in that is that what... So the question is, have you started the court process after he offered you that he will give you the evidences if you start these cases of prosecution? Have you started the court process?
Okay, court process. In fact, we've already talking to our lawyers.
Okay.
Okay. And these cases are not small cases. These are very, very big cases.
Okay.
Okay. So we are preparing a case file now. We have evidence. We have evidence on, in particular, 4 people who were shot, killed wrongly.
Okay.
That is Idris Shosi, Omar Faraj, Mohammed Sultan. Okay, we have full evidence. Now, with this report, okay, it will make it even stronger. But we are going to take action.
Again, since 2018, you had that conversation with him, and he offered you that he is going to assist you in whatever way possible by providing you by evidence of people who are within the country and have involvement in some of these cases. 2018, we are in 2020, towards the end of 2020, actually entering into the last quarter of 2020. Mr. Khalif Khalifa, what is it that's still holding you back from starting this court process and getting the people who are culpable with this heinous acts put behind bars?
Okay, it's a good question. But you know, court processes, and you need to collect evidence. Okay?
Yeah.
This guy, he started investigating 2 years ago. And the report, it just came the other day. Now, it also brings our case even more, with more that we can rely upon. Okay, and as I said, I talked to the guy, and then he told me he is going to give material, he's going to give names, you know, inside the country and outside the country. So it's going to make our case even stronger. Okay? As you know, with our new constitution, sometimes victims are very scared to take these cases to court because they're afraid. Okay, some of them, they're afraid that the police can turn and even kill them. Okay? We are doing our job. Okay? We're not stupid, we're not mad. But we have to protect the right of the people. We have to protect the rule of law. We have to protect ourselves. We have to protect the Constitution. Okay, anything done which is not due process of the law, okay, I'm telling you, we'll face it.
But there
without fear, without any second thought.
There is an aspect of witness protection clearly enshrined in our Constitution, so I don't understand. Where is the fear?
We have a lot of all these extrajudicial killings, sometimes with protection not from the government, even from some NGOs. You know, they take people that is happening in Lamu or Kwale and take them to other places. We don't even know where are they. But sometimes they stay 3-4 months and they get tired and they go home. You know, it needs a lot of cooperation, and this cooperation, people are scared. People are very, very scared.
Okay.
But we are going to do what we can. With this evidence that in hand today, we are going to do something.
Mheshimiwa, we had seen this issue of enforced disappearances. At least it was declining for a very long time until 2020, where we have at least over 200 people, just 2020 alone, over 200 people who have disappeared, you know, without any explanation. Why do you think this is happening again? What is it that we did not do right until it is coming back again?
You know, terrorism attacks, it has gone down, tremendously down. Okay? And mind you, Trump is cutting off all aids to ATPU and all agencies. I don't know why these things are happening. Let me give an example. Khalid Kaka. Khalid Kaka is not a fugitive. Khalid Kaka, he was a director in that institution for good 11 years. He lives in a place with his family. Okay? They send a force of over 20 people 2 o'clock in the morning in him, or just go in the daytime, said, please accompany us to a police station, and nobody will know what was going on. Why doing it at night? And the guy is not a fugitive. And this is happening all the time. Now with the report of Shabir, it's very clear these are not Kenyan forces. Okay? These are forces outside. And there are multiple areas, like the family of Shosi, they came and they saw 2 Europeans people. And there are several of them, well, they are accompanied by foreigners. Okay? But why does our government allow, you know, CIA, and everybody knows how CIA operates. In Iraq, they went to war in Iraq, over 1 million people died. In a wrong pretext, there was weapons of mass destruction, and it was a pure lie. Okay. So now another thing, why the government has allowed these people, it is because they don't care when Muslims get killed. Let me tell you, and that's a fact. You know, there are two groups of people in this country, Muslims and poor people. That's why in the slums, there are daily killings in the slums. Now, when it comes to Muslims, when they say it's a terrorist and nobody cares, just kill him. If it's innocent or is guilty, you know? When Peketoni happened, they went and arrested a governor, Governor Issa, without a shred of evidence, just to show that we don't care. You get my point? This is where we are.
Interesting. So what should we expect over the next couple of years, in our next couple of months, for as far as addressing this issue is concerned? Because, I mean, some of them are still lost, and their families are wondering, when will I ever come back? When are they going to come back? Some of them are still lost, Mheshimiwa. And this is something that had actually gone on a descending trajectory until recently. All of a sudden, in 2020, we're looking at least over 200 people who have disappeared without trail. So what should we expect as a course of action over the next couple of months from you?
Now look, the buck stop with the president's desk. Okay? If he wanted to act, these things will be put to a stop, and stop now. It will never happen. But he hasn't made up his mind yet. So I don't think he cares much if Muslims are killed. You remember 2014, when it was April, May, when there was spate of bombings here and there? Over 2,000 Somali residents were put in camps in Kasarani in the month of Ramadan. Innocent people, men, women, old and young, without any evidence. That shows how this government works. It doesn't have any feeling for Muslims, let me tell you. And I said it, and I repeat it, and that's a fact.
Okay. Now that you've raised it, that's on the side of the government. They do not care. But you are there to safeguard the interests of the Muslims. That's why you're an advocates group that are pushing for the right of Muslims. Hence your name, Muslims Human Rights. Of course, and I understand that this does not just limit you to operate within the Muslim fraternity only, because I've seen your organization going beyond the Muslim cases. So the question is, now that the government, as you have said, quote unquote, the government is not caring, or the president does not care about Muslims and the poor people being killed, then what should we expect from you as the body handling some of these cases to do over the next couple of months to ensure that this problem goes back to the descending trajectory and eventually disappear as it's starting to come back again?
Okay, first of all, I want to make some little correction. Muslims for human rights. Okay, we are purely on human rights. This is not a religious organization, and we stand for all issues of human rights. That's why we fight on issues of police brutality. We fight on issues of corruption. Okay, but we are very disappointed for organizations, Islamic organizations like SUPKEM and the rest. You know, they haven't come up really like Christian brothers. Even when there was issue of COVID money that was stolen, see, churches came out very, very strongly and condemned. But you don't see organizations like SUPKEM and the Islamic organization to stand up, you know, to fight for the rights of Kenyans, not necessarily Muslims. Kenyans, like everybody is, Muslims and Muslims and whoever it is. It doesn't. This is it's regrettable. Let me tell you. Okay, we are going to do whatever we can, and we'll do it. And if I take you back 5 years ago, when Muslim human rights in Africa were abandoned in Teresa matter, you know, close our accounts for 8 months, but we were the only people who went to court and challenged them.
No, that's fine.
None of them
I do understand there is laxity and all that, and it's supposed to be a multi-approach. But my question is, specifically, now that these other institutions have taken a seat back and they are relaxed, and we have seen you to be quite outside there and being proactive about these issues, and you have the evidences, you're talking of court processes, all those perfectly fine. So what should we expect from Muhuri over the next couple of months to ensure, or rather in addressing this issue of enforced disappearances that's recurring again? That's the question, Mheshimiwa.
You know, it might be what is you think, but it is not. Okay? Muhuri is an organization. Muhuri has, its capacity, it is very small.
Yes.
We're trying. We can. Okay, but one thing we can tell you, we are very correct. We're not afraid. Okay, stand people and accuse people who are on high office without any fear. That I can tell you. But I'm telling you, this government will not stay in power forever. It will come a time it will be outside. I'm telling you, and the ICC case is not closed. It is open. Okay? ICC could not do anything. It's a body, it's a world body with all the mandates from the United Nations. But they put people in power, they put all obstacles. But this government can go out. The cases can be revived. But I'm telling you, these deaths that occurred, it will not go for waste. One day there will be justice, and somebody will have to pay.
Okay. Thanks so much, Khalif Khalifa, for making time for us. Maybe as you're finalizing this show tonight, what's your parting shot? What's your message to the Kenyans at large as we are looking at this problem possibly looming to recur? May God forbid.
Okay. First and foremost, Kenyans must stand with the Constitution and the rule of law. It upon our tribes and tribalism, it will never solve the problems in this country. But if you really believe, if you elect leaders to lead us, not because of their tribe or because of their money, this country can reach very, very, very far. Today, Rwanda is far, far better. Rwanda has its own problem, let me tell you. But in terms of social issues and the rule of law or something like that, Rwanda is far better. Just because one leader is determined to do something better.
Okay. Thanks so much. That is Khalif Khalifa, Muslim human rights chairperson right from Mombasa, giving us a brief and talking to us in regards to matters and forced disappearances, which is a problem that is looming. And as it is from the recent events, it's like it's recurring again. May God forbid. Anyway, thank you so much for keeping it live. We'll talk tonight here with me, Faisal, Kassim. See you next week, same place, same time, as we discuss another issue that you would want to hear. I've been your host, Faisal Kassim. See you next week, same place, same time. Thank you.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.